I was so freaking weak, you guys. I could hardly get up. You wouldn't even think eating would take that much work, but it did. And you know, like, you have to eat because you're so weak and stuff, but you're just so freaking tired and all you want to do is sleep. I was like walking against the wall. I could barely move. It feels so freaking hot. And then cold, and then hot, and cold, and hot, and cold. But it gets worse. It gets worse. Remember, this is while I had COVID. This is while I had COVID. So I'm gonna give you guys a rundown of my symptoms and about a timeline as well, okay? Sometime in October, I began having troubles breathing. Like, I would get asthma attacks a lot more frequently, and I just chalked it up to, you know, oh, it's a harvest, it's allergies, and that's what's going on. I wasn't having any other issues, so I didn't think it was COVID. Going to late November, it was around Thanksgiving, I was still having like breathing troubles and stuff, and this is a little too much information for y'all. So yeah, well, Thanksgiving night. All right, my husband and I were and I actually, this is kind of embarrassing or weird to say or whatever, but I had an asthma attack. Yeah. It was like a day or so after that, I was just like I had a runny nose, like not so runny to just where it runs, but just enough to where it just is so irritating, and it just like you can't blow anything out, but it just like, it's almost like it leaks, but it's really weird. It's like I've never experienced that before. I was sneezing like crazy. I had a little bit of coughing, not much, honestly. I was so exhausted, like, and when I get sick, I tend to sleep for a few days, you know. When I get sick, I get knocked on my feet. And well, I was in bed sleeping for like a week. The only time I got up out of bed was to use the bathroom, and that was it. I ate in bed. My husband brought me food. It took forever to eat because I was so freaking weak and exhausted and tired. My throat was sore on and off. It was not severe like strep. God, no, it was nothing like that. It was actually bearable. It was minimal. But it was strange because it would come and go, and it did that for a few days. I also had like an earache, and it felt like I was getting a sinus infection. That did the same thing as the sore throat. It would go on and off it would just come and go. It was really odd. I'd also get headaches on and off. Sometimes it would just kind of be a constant. It wasn't unbearable, but it was annoying. I also had a lot of vertigo when I would get up. I'd get dizzy, and my vision would go black a lot when I would get up and try to like walk around and stuff. But like I said, I could barely do that. I was like walking against the wall. I could barely move. And whenever I would, but it gets worse. It gets worse. Remember, this is while I had COVID. This is while I had COVID. Okay? This is what's going on while I had it. I I was so freaking weak, you guys. I could hardly get up. I couldn't even, like, right now I'm like going like this, leaning on my arms. Like, I couldn't even push myself up like this on the bed, you know, like to sit up. It was so freaking hard to sit up, just to sit up to eat. It took so much freaking strength to eat. It took so long to eat. God. You wouldn't even think eating would take that much work. But it did. It did. And it would take so long to eat, to finish. And you know, like, you have to eat because you're so weak and stuff, but you're just so freaking tired and all you want to do is sleep. Anyways, I'd also would get the chills, and then I would be burning up. Like, I didn't have a fever or anything, but I would feel so freaking hot. And then cold, and then hot, and cold, and hot, and cold. And I just could not regulate my temperature. Like, I could not feel. It was one or the other. My eyes felt sick. What I mean by that is, you guys like know if you haven't slept in a few days or whatever, your eyes get really tired and they just, there's this feeling to them. They felt like that. My lymph nodes were swollen. They still kind of are actually, but not like they were. I also started getting these weird, like, vision, like, almost like dream type things, but they're not. They're like where you're awake, but you guys ever watch these things on Netflix and they're like, I don't know, where they're talking about LSD or something, and then they'd start doing all these weird pictures and stuff. There's these very weird things that I've never seen before, and it was just bizarre, and the only way to really explain it is that must be what it's like when you're on those drugs or something, you know what I mean? It was very bizarre. Also, one thing that is very weird, a lot of it's very weird actually. I had this red dot on my eye. Just like, I don't know, some red dot on the white part of my eye. It didn't hurt. And I think actually in one of my Kylie videos, I think it was the Christmas collection, I think I actually have that dot in there. And I had noticed it before, but you know, I did not lose my taste, you guys. I did not lose my taste. I did not lose my smell. I guess after 5 days or so, you know, I started feeling a lot better. I was like, okay, finally, this is over. Like I said, after that Thanksgiving night, sorry, I am so nervous, you guys. I feel like I have not done this forever, and I'm so, yeah.
Wish I knew what I know now.